Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Coffee and Nuance with me, Tom Coffee. Today, we're diving deep into the illusion of moral decline. Yeah, apparently, we're all living in a moral wasteland, and some people think, yeah, you know what? I got a couple of thoughts on this. So, growing up, I heard this nostalgic tale of how people were kinder, nicer, and more honest in the good old days. When dinosaurs roamed the earth, apparently. And turns out it's just an illusion, not the kind David Copperfield does, but the kind our minds play on us. Now, according to these studies, we're all victims of what they called biased exposure and memory phenomenon. Yeah. Biased exposure sounds like a side effect of too much reality TV. But seriously, folks, we're wired to focus on negative information about current morality and conveniently remember only the positive stuff from the past. It's like we have a moral amnesia or something. No wonder people are nostalgic for a time when they could leave their doors unlocked. They probably forgot that they also had to worry about polio. You know what's even funnier? The data actually shows that morality has not declined. In fact, cooperative behavior has increased over time, so apparently we're more likely to help each other out, but we're also more likely to complain about it. Go figure. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Older folks tend to perceive more moral decline than younger ones, but hold on to your dentures, Grandpa, because it turns out the rate of decline is the same across the ages. It's just that the older generation, well, they got a couple more years to complain about. Must be one of the perks of getting older. I wouldn't know. Clearly, I'm Gen Z. But here's the kicker, folks. People not only think morality is declining in individuals over time, but they blame it on successive generations. You know, the old kids these days argument. Well, I hate to break it to you, but we've been saying that since caveman days. I can just picture it now. Ugh. These young cave dwellers with their fancy fire and wheel inventions. Back in my day, we had to drag the mammoth uphill, both ways. Well, let's not let pesky things like facts and data ruin a good old moral panic, right? We'd much rather believe our biased memories and indulge these shared illusion of moral decline. It's like a group therapy session for cynics. So folks, the next time someone starts waxing poetic about the good old days and how everything's going to hell in a handbasket, just remind them that nostalgia is a tricky beast, and maybe, just maybe, humanity isn't doomed after all. But remember, keep your doors locked. My name's Tom Coffee. This is the Coffee and Nuance Show. Best censored commentary news show live right now. Flame on. Yeah, talking about moral decline. Oh my goodness. Moral decline. So there have been a lot of studies, and many of these studies published in Nature found that people tend to believe that morality has declined over time, regardless of the decade or country they're in. And this perception remains consistent over several decades, and it's prevalent worldwide. But when you actually analyze the data, there's really no significant change in reported morality that they could find. So the researchers proposed that biased exposure to negative information about current morality and biased memory for positive information for the past create this illusion of moral decline. And when participants were asked to rate moral change in their personal worlds, or the years before they were born, they reported moral improvement or stability, respectively. So, the studies have limitations, including the use of non-specific data and a focus on the U.S., heaven forbid. The exact cause of this illusion of moral decline remains unclear. So what do you think about that? The moral decline. And, I got to say that I think that this probably is an illusion. And people were probably not as moral in the past, and we just weren't in tune with it, right? When you're a kid, you think everybody's good. And you grow older and you realize what bags of garbage they actually are. Now, that doesn't mean that they became garbage, right? They always were. You just didn't realize it when you were a kid. And so as we grow older, we should learn more. And we're probably more tuned into reality. I know that I am. I know so much more now than I did 5 years ago. I know this isn't true for everyone. But for me, I think about who I was 5 years ago. I'm like, that guy's an idiot. He didn't know anything. He didn't know anything. So that's just my thoughts on that. I do have a number of stories that we're going to get to today. Do a little debunking and things like that. Remember, stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all your comments on Rumble and on YouTube. And if anyone ever shows up on DLive, we will do that as well. What's going on with Rumble? Okay, we're live. Cool. What's up, Duggo? Nice to see you. But first, this is a story that could be the main story, and it might be a big story for me in the coming days. But let's get to it. We're talking about global temperatures. Hey, folks. Did you hear about the record-breaking temperatures we've been experiencing lately? Yeah. Apparently it's so hot out there, even the devil was spotted carrying around a portable air conditioner. Now they say it's the hottest it's ever been, but here's the thing. They've only been recording temperatures since 1979. That's like saying, hey, this is the best movie I have ever seen. And I've been watching movies for the past 5 minutes. So here's the story. On the 4th of July, the planet experienced its highest recorded temperature ever, reaching an average global temperature of 17.18 degrees Celsius. That's 62.92 degrees Fahrenheit. This record-breaking heat occurred as temperatures soared over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in various parts of the world. The increase in temperature is attributed to a combination of El Nino, the greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to global warming. Climate scientists warn that these conditions could lead to even hotter temperatures in the coming weeks. This temperature record likely surpasses any recorded temperatures prior to 1979, is what they say. The heat wave coincided with prolonged heat waves in the southern U.S. and occurrence of intense heat dome over China and North Africa. June was the hottest June on record in terms of both air and sea surface temperature, and the trend is expected to continue in July and August due to the strengthening El Nino. So, I need to check, find out, are we allowed to question any of this on YouTube? I'm not sure. But this is the interesting part of the story for you. Now, I have not been around for tens of thousands of years, so I can't tell you the change in temperature. But what I found fascinating about this story, and you can do this for yourself, I would encourage you to do this. Go check out the stories about yesterday breaking all the records of being the hottest day ever in recorded history. Okay, that's the story. You can find it done All the major news networks did it. ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox News. They all did. New York Times, Washington Post. Now, go look at their story and see if they mention that they only started recording temperature in this way in 1979. Because that's kind of an important detail. Now, to be clear, it may be the hottest day yesterday ever recorded in the entire history of the planet. That's possible, right? I'm not denying that. I'm not a denier. But here's the important part. They've only been recording this since 1979. That's kind of an important detail. So go look. Did NBC actually mention that they only started recording it in 1979? Did New York Times actually mention in the article in recorded history? You know they're going to do this. I encourage you to watch the local news tonight and see if they mention since 1979 or if they don't mention it at all. I would appreciate it if you could let me know. Hit me up on Twitter, drop a comment. If your local broadcast talks about this story and does not mention they've only been recording since 1979, because I think I want to do a deeper dive into this story, because this is kind of a big deal, and it really does show how you scaremonger people. You put in these inflammatory headlines, and you don't really explain it well. Okay, so that's what's going on with this. Now let's get to another story about everybody's favorite president. Huh, okay. Ukraine and Russia, you've heard of them, right? They're having a nuclear power plant feud. It's like a high-stakes game of who can scare the world more. I guess they missed the memo that nukes aren't exactly party favors. So, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky told French President, what's that called when you flip the first words, right? You, a coin toss, right? A French president, Macron. Anyway, Zelensky told him that Russia is planning dangerous actions at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Ukraine claims that Russia's placed explosives there. Russia accuses Ukraine of planning an attack. Both countries have traded accusations about the plant's safety since the war began, the special military operation began in 2022. So, Kim.com had something interesting to say about this. He called it out a long time ago that this was a potential false flag. And we've seen this coming out of Vladimir Zelensky a number of times. You know, we've heard him say things, like, oh my goodness, we were bombed, and then turned out that wasn't true about those missiles, like from Poland or something like that. And then the whole line of like, yeah, Russia blew up their own pipeline, because that makes sense. And Russia destroyed their own dam and flooded out their own people, because, that makes a lot of sense. We've seen a number of these things where he makes these predictions about things that Russia's going to do, and then Russia does it. Scary when it's a nuke power plant, right? That's kind of scary. But what's going to happen with it? I don't know. I do like the fact that there's a lot of people calling it out online saying, yeah, we know you're probably planning something. A lot of these times with these false flags, you have to get into what the motivation of it is. Like, why would Putin blow up a nuclear power plant? And it's like, well, because he's crazy and he's evil. That's why he does it. And I don't know. You got to come up with something a little bit better than that for me to buy it. But what do you know? I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about that. Anyway, we'll just have to follow the story and see if Vladimir Zelensky is right that Russia's gonna blow up a power plant because they're crazy or something. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's get to a little local U.S. news. Hey, did you hear about the Biden administration's attempt to censor social media? Turns out they learned the hard way that unfollowing the First Amendment leads to an unfriend request from the courts. So here's the story. A federal judge has issued a preliminary injunction against the Biden administration, stating that it likely violated the First Amendment by attempting to eliminate what it deemed as disinformation on public social media. The ruling prevents White House officials and federal agencies from contacting social media companies to suppress political views and protected speech. The case, led by Republican Attorney General from Missouri and Louisiana, accused Biden administration of promoting a federal censorship enterprise and pressuring social media platforms to remove content on sensitive topics. The lawsuit is significant as it tests the boundaries of government scrutiny over social media content on major platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The judge described the situation as resembling an Orwellian ministry of truth during the COVID-19 pandemic, with substantive evidence presented in support of the censorship claims. Numerous similar lawsuits challenging social media account suspensions and content removal on First Amendment grounds are ongoing. So I know all about this because this is done to me. This is done to me, and it's done to me like right now, currently. And I know a lot of people have a hard time believing that. But do you suppose, what do you think about this? Do you think Google is essentially the government? They collaborate so often on so many things that to me they're one and the same. However, who knows, right? But let's see if I can pull this up. Let's see if I can pull this up. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can pull this up. I'll just show you. I've shown you all this before, but let's see if I can do this. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Let me do this. There we go. Okay. So this is my example because this is something that I've done here, but this is a calumniator. I did a video on called "Don't Be a Calumniator." Now this is and if you notice here on Bing, when I just look for the word calumniator, I'm the very first result when you click on videos. The very first result, that's me there with the Portland backdrop. Don't be a Colluminator. And if you look, I got over 1,000 views. This is from January 24th, 2019 on YouTube there. This had a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of interaction, and Bing deems it to be valuable. So for Bing, they say this is the #1 result right here. #1 result. So Bing seems to like my stuff. What about DuckDuckGo? We just put in the word Colluminator, and look at that. I'm the #1 result. Look at that. Over 1,000 views. Okay. And then Colluminator meaning, that only had 120 views. And then there's some different bands that I think have it in the title. So those came up as well. But yeah, the #1 result on DuckDuckGo. Okay. But when we go to Google, we click on videos. Well, we got a dictionarydefinition.com and how to say Colluminator, and we can go down here, Colluminator in Chinese, and notice that I'm not there. Page 2. Can we go to page 2? Come on. Nope. How about page 3? Nope. Page 4. Nope. Page 5. Oh, look. Here, someone has, moviecultist.com, apparently they have taken my video and put it on their website. So, not my actual video, right? I mean, not a link to my video, but my video is on a different page. So that shows up in Google, but my actual page on YouTube is not showing up at all when you search for this. I mean, that's kind of weird. Here we are, we're on, what page are we on? Page 8, page 9, page 10. Wow. So that is, to me, that's the interesting thing, is because, you know, Google owns YouTube. Bing says I'm the #1 result for the word Colluminator. DuckDuckGo says I'm the #1 result for Colluminator. I know Yahoo does as well. All the other search engines, I'm #1. But on Google, I don't exist. I mean, I did show up, on page 6? But it was only because the video was on somebody else's page and somehow it snuck through the algorithm. When I checked last night, that wasn't there. I went through the first 10 pages and that one was not there. So somehow, you know, my video snuck through because one of these sites that, you know, a clickbait farm says, oh, this video gets lots of clicks, so let's put it up. Essentially is what happened. So, yeah, I would say that, according to me, I would say that I am being censored by Google. I think that I've made that pretty clear, and you can use this as an example. You can search for actual titles of my video in Google with the exact title, and it doesn't exist. It's my belief that Google is our government. And I strongly suspect, but I don't have the evidence, that it's the people in charge of the current administration did this to my channel. That's what I suspect, but I can't prove any of this. I can't prove any of this, but you can check it out for yourself. Go ahead. You can search for the word Colluminator. And it's not just that. You can do it with any of my videos. I chose this one in particular because there was nothing political about it. There was nothing political about the video. And, you know, it got like over 1,000 views. So it's seen as a quality video. So that's why I chose that. But anyway, so that's an example. So who knows? Maybe maybe, because of this ruling, perhaps I won't be hidden on Google anymore. I doubt that's going to change. Like, I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. But, I guess after this, we need some good news. So, damn it, let's get to some good news. Hey, did you hear? Turns out the key to a healthy heart is just a little D. Vitamin D, that is. Who knew? Who knew sunshine and supplements could be the ultimate heart doctors? So next time you're at the beach, just remember you're not just getting a tan, you're preventing heart attacks. So here's the story. A recent study called the D Health Trial investigated the effects of vitamin D supplementation on major cardiovascular events in older adults. The study included over 21,000 participants aged 60 to 84. They were randomly assigned to receive either vitamin D or a placebo for 5 years. Sounds like a good study. The results showed that the group receiving vitamin D had a lower incidence of major cardiovascular events such as heart attacks, coronary artery procedures, compared to the placebo group. The benefits of vitamin D were independent of factors like sex, age, or body mass index. The findings suggest that vitamin D supplementation in older adults may help reduce the risk of major cardiovascular events. So I've been talking about vitamin D for a long time. I think that if we all supplemented with vitamin D during the lockdowns, we would have much better results. That is my opinion. I am not a medical doctor. Someone's saying I'm mispronouncing Colluminator. Colluminator. Perhaps. Yeah, I probably mispronounced nuclear too. Wrong. Nuclear. Anyway, I will get to all your comments in the after show as soon as I finish this. But I've been talking about vitamin D for a long time. As far as I can tell, not a whole lot of bad side effects for taking vitamin D. Vitamin D is very cheap, and the nice thing about it is you get vitamin D, they're little tiny pills. They're easy to swallow. A lot of pills are tough. Some people have a hard time taking pills, especially, those big horse pills, But vitamin D, they're tiny little pills, very easy to take. I suggest supplementing with vitamin D every day. And don't just think that you can count on, being outside in the sun to get your vitamin D. Something that I've learned in researching this is we all take in vitamin D differently from the sun. And a lot of people, the darker you are, the less vitamin D you get from the sun. So that's one of the a major problem in this country is African Americans have a much higher rate of vitamin D deficiency because often African Americans, blacks, do not process, they don't get the benefits of vitamin D from just exposure to the sun. So that's why it's really important that you want to supplement vitamin D, everyone. And if it can do all these great things for people 60 to 84, don't you think that it might actually be beneficial for everyone? That's what it looks like to me. Not a medical doctor. Obviously consult them, I don't know, whatever I'm supposed to say for that. But vitamin D is also really cheap, right? You can just go to Costco and get some good quality vitamin D. Order some online. They actually sell vitamin D at the Dollar Tree. Okay, so there's really no excuse not to get a little D in your life. So I think that's good news, and it's good news if you supplement with it. I hope I have been persuasive on that if you're not already taking it. But what do I know? What do I know? Anyway, that's about it. Stick around for the after show. I'll be going through your comments and checking in on some other stuff. But I'll be back mañana. Until then, peace. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. See if I can get this out of here. Here we go. Not a whole lot of people on Rumble. Rumble, the stream did pause for a second there. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Also, I'm trying out streaming on DLive, but it is currently also stuck. Let me try refreshing it, see if it's back live again. Still working out the kinks on all these other platforms. So, yeah, looks like we're live on everything now. But what's up, Duggo? Yeah, the stream did stop, but it's back up, so that's a good thing. What's up, everybody on the YouTube? Look at all these great comments we got. Lucid Moments kicking it off. Natasha jumping in. I think people being more vocal about abortion rights is a good indicator that morality has declined significantly. Well, the thing is, remember, the whole point of this idea is that we remember the good things in the past and we focus on the negative things in the present. And because of that, it gives us this illusion. Those things work together to give us this illusion that things are going downhill. And they may not necessarily be doing that based on the studies. And I actually went through and I read the, you know, I actually linked to the study and went through it and, you know, read the synopsis of it. And it looked to be pretty decent science to me. So I do think that there is something to that. I live out in the country. My doors are almost always unlocked. Okay. Tom, things have changed since the 70s growing up. It feels like a decline. And that's the point, is I'm saying it feels like a decline, but it may not necessarily be the case. Okay? But I'm not saying that it's not in decline. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying that the way we think about things can somehow skew our perception. What are today's equivalent of Leave It to Beaver or Father Knows Best? I don't watch enough TV to know. Seems like all shows have at least one LGBT character in them. I don't know. I haven't really seen that myself. I'm not really watching like family sitcoms, so I think I'm a bit old for that. So I don't know what family sitcoms are out there, and if that's the case or not. I don't know. Gullible Skeptic says, I live in the country, lock my doors, and carry 24/7. Okay. I can't speak for the globe, but it's hot as F right now in Middle Tennessee. Oh, it's looking deathly. I was like, oh man, I'm so glad I'm not in the South right now. Lucid Moment says, Global Skeptic, I always carry, always. I was riding my motorcycle in Arizona when it was 123 years ago. Yeah, I'm thinking back. I did when I was young. We'd go to soccer tournaments, and there was always soccer tournaments in the Phoenix area. I think it was Tempe or something like that. And they would have these soccer tournaments, and it would be so freaking hot. It'd be unbelievably hot. You know, and you go and you visit, and it's like 118 degrees. I don't know how anybody lives there. Well, I do, because I lived in Fort Worth, and just pretty much all summer long, you just didn't do anything outside. You would go from your air-conditioned car to the air-conditioned mall, back to your air-conditioned car, and then you drive to the air-conditioned grocery store. You know, that's pretty much what you do all summer long, because it gets so damn hot, it doesn't even cool down that much at night. Yeah. It would be nice to go through one of these shows without buffering. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the buffering either. Again, I'm always making changes. I'm always trying to tweak things to make them better. I'll keep doing that. It's hot here in Texas, but last week was worse. Tom, anything interesting happened with your bike ride yesterday? Oh, yes. So yesterday, I did my annual bike ride to Boring, Oregon. It's not that far. It's like an hour bike ride. But anyway, I got a flat. I got a flat on my front tire about 2 miles from the end. So, yeah, that was exciting. Now, I did happen to have a couple of cold ones in my bag. So I stopped and had a cool drink. And I actually rode it slowly and probably, you know, destroyed the tire. But it was too far to walk. So yeah, that was the interesting thing. But, you know, that's the thing with a bike. You often have to, you know, every season you probably need new tubes. I haven't put in a new tube this year. And, yeah, it just, something to work on. But that happens sometimes. And, you know, often if I'm going on a long bike ride and I have I just took my single speed just for an easy, you know, cruise. But if I have my road bike and I'm out, I'll always have, you know, extra tube and, you know, all the little tools I need to change it if there's an issue. But I didn't do that because it's July 4th and I'm out, like, just going for a leisurely bike ride. So I didn't have any, yeah, that is what it is. And man says, part of the reason I'm a man-made climate change skeptic is because of the way climatologists exaggerate and misrepresent counter-arguments. They have given wrong predictions since before I was born. And they don't apologize or correct the record when they get predictions wrong. Yeah, so one of the things, and I should do a story on this, but in the 1930s, it was actually hotter than it was currently, and they went back and changed the data to make it hotter now than it was in the 30s, and then someone sued for doing that, and then they went back and they were like, oops, our bad. The 30s actually were hotter. And that's the thing is just because you're skeptical doesn't mean that you don't believe something, right? Just because I'm skeptical of something doesn't make me the bad guy. But yeah, I keep seeing this repeated that, you know, they fudge data, they get caught, they change the data back, they don't apologize, they don't explain why they did it. It's all very interesting. And I would like to know, though, if you happen to watch your local news tonight, see if they do a story on yesterday being the hottest day in the history of humanity and not mention they've only been keeping track in this particular metric since 1979. So that's an interesting thing. How many times over have we bought Ukraine now? It should be considered the 52nd state. And then Natasha says, who's 51st? And he says, well, Puerto Rico. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pretty incredible. that there's seems to be no pushback from either party about so much money going to Ukraine. Now, there are a couple lone Congress people, making a bit of a fuss about it, but not enough. Not enough. Google, not exactly the government, but definitely in cahoots with the government. Yeah. If it wasn't for the tiki light, I'd think the show froze. Okay. And again, I'm apparently mispronouncing Colluminator, and it's Columniator. That happens. A little D, got you covered. Oh, vitamin D, my bad. Exactly. Lucid Moment says, I hate taking pills, but the thing is, the vitamin D pills are so tiny. You get these tiny little pills, and they're actually pretty easy to take. Probably, I think, of all pills, vitamin D is the easiest pills to take. I'm hiding from the vitamin D in my house, but supplements, I recommend 10,000 IU daily, which is much higher than the U.S. Recommended dose. Brett Weinstein did a 2-hour video with professionals on this subject. Well, if you're interested, that might be an interesting thing to check out of Brett Weinstein talking for 2 hours on vitamin D. I think I've heard enough about vitamin D, but yeah, you can check that out. That would be cool. At least the naked folks at Pride parades were getting more vitamin D than if they were clothed. How y'all listening while working? What's up, Erie Fairy? Glad you're here. Yeah, 10,000. That's a lot. Again, I think what's the exact amount that you choose to go to. I don't think is as important as just making sure that you are getting enough. So, for example, one little tiny pill, I think mine are like 2,000 international units each. So you do 2 of those, that's 4,000. Again, that's going to be significantly better than being deficient. Okay, so I don't know what the recommended daily is on that, and I don't even know if that's the important thing. Just that you have enough. Whatever that amount is. We don't, I don't know what it is. But yeah, anyway, that's all I got. Yeah, that's it. But if you could do me a favor, let me know about the 1979 thing. If a couple people could come back and give me that information, I would appreciate that, because I think that this is kind of a big deal. Anyway, y'all have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time. Peace.